Hey everyone, welcome back to Found Finances. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Zoe, and in today's COVID-19 edition of How to Handle Your Money, I wanted to focus on some really frequently asked questions surrounding student loans and what's going on with the status of people's loans in this crazy time. Just as a disclaimer, I'll be focusing on federal student loans that are based in the United States. So if you're someone who has student loans right now, is in the process of paying them off, or is still in school and hasn't worried about repayment plans, all of these questions are relevant to you and your situation. Like my last video in this series about unemployment during COVID-19, I'll be structuring this video in the same way with a question and then an answer, and I'll start right now by listing out the questions I'll cover so you don't have to go through this entire video and realize your question hadn't been answered. So the first question is, what are happening to my payments? Do I need to still be making payments even though the interest is frozen? And I'll get to this freeze on interest as well later on. The next question is, who is eligible for these loan freezes? Then how notifications about these freezes should be working. Then what's happening to your interest? How does this all affect me if I'm behind on my loans? And how does this affect me if I haven't started repaying my loans at all? Like if you're still in school, for example. So those are the main questions I'll be covering in this video. Also, disclaimer, I'm not a professional in any way. I'm a recent college grad who is working in real time with you guys to also understand my finances better and figure out how to empower myself surrounding my money. So that's all to say, just take all of this with a grain of salt. I'll list all of the resources that I've used in my research for this video below in the description box. So if any of you guys want to do your own research on your own time, those are a good place to start. So the first question, what's happening to my payments? Now I want to make a clear distinction of what I'm going to be talking about today also in this video. So there's generally two groups of student loans that can be taken out, which are private loans from private lenders, and then there's federal loans that you get from the federal or state government. The loans that I'll be talking about and that are eligible for anything that I discuss are federal loans. That's because this loan freeze is a part of the C.A.R.E.S Act, which is a federal legislation that's gone into action, which only impacts federal loans. So if you have loans taken out by a private lender, this information doesn't necessarily apply to you, and you should go and contact directly whoever's in charge of your loan and figure out if there's freezes or anything happening due to COVID that could help you out financially for these next few months. But that's not a guarantee if you have a privately held loan. But okay, so if you have a federally held loan, which a lot of people do, no payment is due until September 30th. So beforehand, before COVID-19, payments usually looked like monthly accruing payments, that you had a deadline per month that you had to make a minimum payment in order to not get fined or accrue any extra charges of any sense. Now, during COVID-19, all of those monthly payments are on hold, and they're going to be on hold until September 30th. So you do not need to be making any type of payment on your student loan held by the federal government whatsoever in the next few months. You definitely can be putting money towards your student loans, and if you're getting more money from the government in terms of unemployment and you're saving it or you're not spending it any other place, putting it off towards your loans could be a great way to use that money too. So it doesn't mean that you can't make payments, it just means that you don't need to, and you're not going to get penalized if you don't. So then the next question is, who's eligible for these loans? So if you have taken out a federal loan, which are also called direct loans from the federal government in the past 10 years, you should definitely be eligible for this loan freeze. A good clarifier, so earlier in this video, I said that state held loans are also eligible for this program. I want to clarify, loans held by state agencies are not necessarily eligible. They might be having their own type of assistance program put in place, but it's not covered in this C.A.R.E.S Act loan freeze. So that's an important distinction between federal and state held loans. Other loans that are not eligible include the Perkins loan, older federal family education loans, or FFEL loans that are no longer owned by the federal government, or rather not owned by the U.S. Department of Education, because the U.S. Department of Education is what holds all of our loans. So when I say the federal government, that's the department I'm actually talking about. Loans from state agencies and loans from private lenders. Some of the most popular private lenders include Sallie Mae, Discover, Wells Fargo, things like that, also are not directly eligible under this C.A.R.E.S Act program, which I'm talking about in this video right now. They may have other assistance programs available for you, but they are not eligible under this. So the next question is, how should notifications about these student loan freezes work? Most people should by this point have something reflected on wherever their student loan is held, like whatever website they go onto or you go onto to look at how much you have to pay for your student loan. On that interface somewhere, you should have an alert saying no payment due, or some type of note indicating what's happened with your federal loan at this point. Now, all of these websites are notorious for being delayed, having errors in them, things like that. So really be vigilant on this. Go and check out your student loan and see if you can concretely look at and find a place where it says no payment is due. Most likely what's happening is that there is just a delay and that it'll get there eventually. And by this point, I'm filming this video at the end of April. Student loan holders should really have their act together at this point and be reflecting this loan freeze on their websites. But if you don't see that and you are a federal loan holder, that you've taken out a loan from the federal government, contact whatever organization is currently holding your loan and ask, hey, what's going on? Because you don't want to be left in the dust and think that you don't have to be paying off your loans and realize that you actually have had to for some odd reason. Also, you should be getting another notification around August 1st indicating to you when this suspension period of payment will cease to happen, which is like a cessation notification about the suspension, which is kind of convoluted, but you should be getting a notification telling you, hey, in the next month on September 30th, you're going to have to start being accountable for your loan payments again, just letting you know. So you should be getting two notifications. One saying, hey, no payment due from, it should have been March to September 30th. And then in August, one saying, hey, payments are going to start happening again. Now, whether or not any of this gets adjusted in the meantime, we have no idea. If adjustments happen or if another relief package gets passed by Congress that shifts anything with student loans, I'll be sure to make an update video here as well. Next question, what's happening to your interest? So your interest should be frozen. There should be, if you're holding a federal loan, your interest should be zero for this suspension period. So from now until September 30th, you should not be accruing any type of interest on your loans. So it should just be sitting there stagnant, not growing in how much you have to pay off. It should just be whatever that number was in March whenever this suspension took place. So that basically means you're not going to be accruing more money that you have to be paying off in this period when you're also not required to pay anything off. Your loan should not change in value between now and September 30th. Okay, the next question is, what happens to my loans if I'm behind on my payments? So when you're like really, really behind on your payments, like 6 months, a year, what have you, the federal government can do a couple things to you. It can do a thing called wage garnishment, which I'm not actually 100% clear on what that is, and I can do research and answer that question for you guys. They can also seize your tax refunds if you're late on your payments and reduce any federal benefit payments that you may be receiving if you're behind. So those are the normal ways that the federal government comes after you if you're behind on your loans. All of those systems of coming after you have frozen. So any involuntary collection efforts are suspended from now until September 30th. And if you are behind on your payments, this might be a great opportunity if you financially can, is the first step. But if you have money left over or you're just sitting on some money because of whatever situation due to COVID, this could be a great opportunity to get ahead and start repaying those delayed payments so that hopefully when payments start accruing again or being due by September 30th, you're in a better place financially with how you feel about yourself and your loans, and you're not having this extra stress on your back about wage garnishing or any federal benefits being withheld or tax refund seizures, things like that. All right, and the last question is, how does this loan freeze affect me if I'm still in school and I haven't started paying off my loans? So there's two main federal loans that you can take out when going to university, and that's the direct unsubsidized student loan and the direct subsidized student loan. So the direct unsubsidized loan accrues interest while you're in college, whereas the direct subsidized loan doesn't accrue any interest while you're going to school, and also I believe gives you a grace period after you've left school of about 6 months before your interest starts accruing. So if you have that loan, the direct subsidized loan where interest doesn't accrue, you don't really have anything to worry about right now. If you haven't been planning on paying off your loans till you graduate, there's nothing really to do here in this situation. You kind of can just continue to cruise. However, if you have the direct unsubsidized loan where interest does accrue while you're in school, this is just a really great thing for you in that sense that for about 6 months from now until September 30th, you're not going to have any interest accrue on those loans that you wouldn't have been able to pay off right now anyways. Like, you're in school and you're not paying off your loans, so you just have this money accruing silently while you're still taking classes, and right now you're not. So you won't have any additional interest on those loans for that period of time, which is really great long term for when you do graduate and you are planning on paying off your loans, that you don't have as much interest as you would have otherwise. So that's kind of the caveat, little silver lining for people who are still in school and aren't looking at paying off their loans right now. You just won't have as much interest as you normally would have when you do go look to pay off your loans because of this C.A.R.E.S Act loan freeze. So those are the questions that I wanted to cover in this video. If you have any more questions or follow-up comments to any of this, please leave that down in the comments section below. I'm looking to do more videos COVID related because I just feel like it's really relevant right now and that it can be helpful to the community to continue to put out resources and research that I find. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. I'll see you guys later. Thanks so much.